Also, now, if you've ever been to Bayelsa or spent time with an Ijaw woman, you know that that's how they call out when visiting a neighbor. Very warm, familiar greeting I picked up during my time there. And of course, Bayelsa memories flood back, and the fish, not just any fish, I'm talking about ofingo, mbe, and let's not forget those delicious periwinkles, isam as we locally know them. I mean, you could literally feast on seafood all day, you know, and back when Bayelsa truly lived up to its name as the glory of all lands. But it wasn't all rosy, I must say. I remember also the long, winding traffic jams trying to get into Yanagua from Mbiama. With just that single highway in and out of town, trust me, if you didn't leave early, you were spending the whole day on the road. And for folks living in places like Kolo Creek, Udi, Onopa, and Sagbama, boats were the only way around. And as for finding a place to stay, let's just say accommodation wasn't exactly waiting for you on every corner. And clean drinking water, well, that was a real luxury. Yet, despite all that, Bayelsa holds a very special place in my heart. Now, those were the days of late dear Priya Solomon Alamesia, or DSP as he was fondly called. But since then, Bayelsa has also evolved. Successive governors have worked to open up the state, trying to change the narrative and give the people more to smile about. Let's fast forward to now. Enter Governor Doyediri. When he took office, some years back, Bayelsa, like many other states, had its fair share of challenges. But they came in with big dreams, big promises to make Bayelsa a magnet for investors and drive sustainable development. So, on Late Edition this week, we focus on leadership in Bayelsa State. What's the story? What has Governor Diri been able to change? What's he up to? What battles have been won and which ones are still raging? I'll be speaking with one of the governor's aides, media aides and communication, and of course we will dig into the progress so far and the road ahead. Trust me, promises to be an exciting conversation. I am Claire Adelabu Abdulrazak, and as always, it's a pleasure having you join us for this insightful conversation. So, as I said, my guest today is High Chief Everada Abednego Don, and he's the technical advisor on communication and strategy to the governor of Bayelsa State. And Everada Abednego Don is also a communication specialist, legal scholar, expert on urban crime management, and a public affairs specialist, as well as an oral traditional historian. Now, that's quite interesting. But let me quickly welcome my guest, High Chief Everada Abednego Don. Thank you very much for coming to share your experience with us on Late Edition.
Yeah, I think I just feel like I've been bathed with new water, waters of hope and waters of smiles and appreciation. I want to say that it's a beautiful time being here, and I think we're going to have a long time doing what this station is noted for. So thanks for having me.
All right, let's begin. I mean, you heard my story, my experience when I was in Bayelsa, but that was long time ago, and that was during the time of late dear Priya Lamaisia, of course, when Bayelsa was still developing and all that. Just give us an insight into what Bayelsa, just a glimpse of what it is getting in and out of Bayelsa.
Yeah, I think when you gave your intro, I felt like you were just watching Bayelsa State in a mirror because you have that direct experience. In those days, I'm saying those days because when Chief DSP Alam is here, of blessed memory, was the governor of the state, we had very difficult times as a state because it was a virgin land and everything was fresh. And most of our people were saying the concept and the idea, the moment of a state for the first time. So strange ideas, desperation about life, people agitating to get things done in their own ways. And so it became very necessary for certain things to be streamlined. It is true, getting into Yenegua, the roads weren't there, the schools were not there, the hospitals were not there. But I think I want to give special kudos to our late sage, Chief DSP Alamese of blessed memory, for also keeping the pace and the hope alive, the dreams of Ijaw people that someday, somehow, we will have our own. And of course, we did had one before, and that was River State. And of course, later, River State gave birth to Bayelsa State. And Bayelsa State is truly an Ijaw state. Every time we call the name Bayelsa, we'll beat our chest to say, hope actualize. And so for today, those challenges are largely diminished. You can drive into Yenegua today and you won't know you're in Yenegua because you think you're in some of the beautiful roads in Abuja here, or you're trying to get to Kano State from Abuja. Beautiful roads, dual carriageways. And so if you're coming from the Imbiama axis, you don't need to do that normal thing of waiting at the Imbiama market because you just take on your left. And of course, we call that one a beautiful road. It's like a diversion.
It's winding. And I hear that, the expansion done during the times when, of course, the former president was governor, that's Goodluck Jonathan, and, taking over from his former, predecessor. That's still what it is. What has changed? Getting in from Mbiama to Yenegua.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We have what we call now the ring roads.
Okay.
The ring road is from the outer ring road, rather, from the Mbiama axis. You can drive to Yenegua. Like I said, you wouldn't know. You think you're going to Kano State from Abuja because it's a fantastic road, smooth.
Where do you have the ring road?
Oh,
because I know the ring road used to be when you are diverting to the gas turbine.
That is Tombia roundabout.
Okay.
This we're talking about the entrance of Yenegua. So I'm saying there are two ways you can get into Yenegua now. Unlike rather three ways. Okay. 3 ways now, because initially it used to be just from Imbiama to Igbogne.
Yes.
Now, of course, you can take from the Imbiama axis directly, and we'll call that one the outer ring road. Fantastic road, one of the best roads in the Niger Delta. And then we do have the old
developed
one.
By whom?
Of course, we're talking about
I don't know. That's why
Senator Doidere, the executive governor of Bayelsa State, because he came with a vision to expand the state, to open up the state, so that the world can have free access to the state. Bearing in mind that we put the basics and the fundamentals of life, like security guarantees, so that when you're coming in one, you are safe, you feel safe, very safe coming to Yenegua. And of course, the roads are smooth and safe for you to drive in. And so you get to the old road, which is always there. But then we have another fantastic, beautiful road that was initiated by former President Goodluck Jonathan. But somehow, when he was taken out to Abuja, the road was largely abandoned, and this governor came and said it's going to open. We'll call that one the beautiful gateway into Bayelsa State. I tell you, when the Sultan of Sokoto went last year to commission that road, we were all there, and he said he's not a politician. He used to be of the other side, and then later today as a king. His Eminence said, I have been to different states in the Niger Delta, and indeed states in this country. But for a governor to build a road of this height, because you know what it takes to build a road in Bayelsa State, and indeed in Niger Delta, the height of that road is almost that of an electric pole, and it's a dual carriageway that runs down to the length and breadth of the state capital. And the Sultan said...
Is it part of the projects initiated by Timipre? The one from Anopa, the one that runs from the gate to Anopa?
Yeah, exactly. It was initiated, but nothing was done about it. We try as a government as much as possible not to vilify our former leaders or past leaders, because they are all stakeholders. They may have done their own best too. But I think what we are having today is to look at it holistically and from a free mind to say, how far have we gone? And I can tell you that road, like quoting the words of the Sultan, he said it's indeed the best road he has seen in this part of Nigeria. And how did we go about it? It's about commitments of resources and trying to open up the state. When they want to run a government that will lure people into a state, people start plummeting to do investment. First, you need to get the right to security, open the road, and start building infrastructure. Okay. And the rest is a beautiful story.
Yes, I wanted to start off from there because that's the first thing that welcomes you when you're coming into Bayelsa. Of course, you have to pass through, a very good road network and all that. But let's look at the issue of security. When Governor assumed office, he, of course, made a pledge. He said, like you said, Bayelsa State is, perhaps the only homogeneous state with, unique ethnic nationality, the Ijaw nationality. So he had appealed to diasporans, Bayelsans in diaspora to come home, and join hands with him to develop the state. In terms of security, how secure is Bayelsa for businesses and investors, to thrive?
Yeah, I think we've been very careful and indeed modest, as also, directed by His Excellency the Governor of Bayelsa State, that every time we're talking about what this government is doing or has done, we must say it barely the way it is. And we say with words of challenges to, critical stakeholders in the security environment of this country, from the police, the DSS, Directorate of Military Intelligence, etc., etc. What is their assessment? And they've been saying, we are not saying it, they've been saying that Bayelsa State, as it stands today, and a few years back to now, is the safest state in this country. And some people will be wondering how...
In terms of?
When we say security, safety, safety of life and property, preservation of human lives, doing business uninterrupted. Now, when we talk about security in Bayelsa State, it's not just what the conventional police or conventional security agencies have been able to do. It's about, a demonstration of willpower by the people of the state, but first, the political will by the governor. The governor came out, like you said, requested from the people that can we do it together, and the people echoed with a yes answer.
So what has he done?
What has he been able to do is the question. He first engaged the security agencies. They developed a master plan, and he initiated it, and he advanced procedures on how to go about it. He called in traditional rulers and opinion leaders, youth leaders, critical stakeholders in the state, and made everyone understand. And we saw, to the oath of conscience, that for us to live and see tomorrow, we need to work together. So it's about building bridges, collaboration of necessity, partnerships, critical stakeholders, everyone on board. So you are not just a police officer, a security agent working in the state, and you're carrying the burden of the state. Everyone takes a responsibility in the state with quality leadership of the government by ensuring that, look, we know as a government, as Nigerians, that there isn't any let's say, sector of the Nigerian security architecture where you say they have what it takes to drive security and protection of lives and property. And so every time and every other time, we continue to invest in the security of lives and property by providing the perquisites of operations for these security agencies, providing logistics, and of course giving them moral support. Again and again, the people hold town hall meetings with security agencies, commissioners of police in Bayelsa State, and the director of DSS. They don't just sit in the convenience of their offices. They are always reaching out in the communities, because that's what the governor has directed. And with a marching order, any challenge, let me know. And finally, very important, that's the only state we can stay by beating our chest. The governor of Bayelsa and indeed political leaders in Bayelsa do not interfere with security matters. It's purely for the conventional agencies to act within the ambit of law and good conscience.
That's fantastic. Let's move away from the issue of security. Now, I've known Bayelsa. There was a time when all over the state, you could see the gas flaring, from Imiringi. I hope I got that correct.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, and all that to Kolo Creek, into Ogbe. You could see the gas. And Bayelsa has over 18 trillion, cubic meters of gas, reserve gas, about the highest, in Nigeria. I know recently your governor promised, in fact, he did say that was going to be his legacy project, to entrust Bayelsans with a system, a 60 megawatts gas turbine that will provide 24-hour supply of electricity. Where are we today?
Yeah, it's important to know that a few months back, bearing in mind that Bayelsans and indeed Bayelsa State rely solely on the national grid for power supplies, and something terrible happened to our state, where the entire national grid collapsed in Bayelsa State, and for about 4 months we were in complete darkness. That shouldn't be accepted by any sane-minded person, not to talk about the governor of Bayelsa State, who is a lover of prosperity. So how did we go about that? We tried to look at it, ran a quick, smart conversation with the service providers, and they told us that It will take about 1 year for that problem to be solved if the Bayelsa State government decides to wash on the sidelines. What did the governor do? The governor asked them to do a proper evaluation of everything, and he said he's going to run it solely. And so the state government provided all the funds and all the logistics, provided security. And of course, within those 4 years, it wasn't easy, quite a horrible one. But the good thing is, power has been restored to Bayelsa State. But even though power has been restored, it's still the Nigerian concept of power. Now I'm going to the power of the side of the turbines.
Yes, this power, is it the power from the national grid
National
that has
grid.
been restored?
Yeah, it has been restored.
Yes, so what I'm saying is, where are we with regards to, because he promised that that project will be delivered by the end of
that's where I'm going now. And so after that, the governor called for a critical stakeholders meeting, and he did in the press conference. He had addressed the state and told the people of the state that enough is enough, and that he's going to ensure that part of his electionary campaign, like he did say in his electionary campaigns, that he's going to provide a dependable, reliable power supply, would generate and supply. And coincidentally, it happened at the time when the national government, we'll give kudos to President Asiwaju for also ensuring that they shift that that aspect of the exclusiveness of that power generation and distribution to even states.
That should give you the leeway.
So the governor immediately swung into action by calling on the House of Assembly to pass a bill, a law rather, ensuring that Bayelsa State gets a company, a platform to operate. And to cut the long story short, as we speak today, the 2 turbines, which will generate 60 megawatts, have been paid for. The company and the state government made a joint statement that the turbines will be arriving by Bayelsa State in 2 months' time. I think it's less than 2 months now because some days have gone. And as we are speaking, ground preparation is ongoing. The basic, fundamental, foundational jobs.
Do you think this will be achieved? This will be delivered before the end of the year?
It's not about what I would think. Anytime the governor of Bayelsa State says, this is what I want to do. He doesn't do things because he wants to.
So people should hold you accountable if it's not delivered.
He does anything based on agreement and understanding with the people. It's not a policy of Diri. It's about the desires of the people of the state, which he represents. And so he has assured the people, and we know he's going to do it. The turbines will be here, and by the ending of this year, power will be generated, supplied, and 24/7. So for those who want to do investment in Bayelsa State, be rest assured, as you're having confidence and trust in this government, you're also going to have power generation and supply that your businesses will go fast.
Despite the enormous gas reserves at Elebele, I think.
All over Baran area. Baran, Elebele, Obianebe, Brass, everywhere.
And everywhere. Bayelsa is still sitting on a monolithic economy. I mean, you still, we agree, you give us over 30-40% of, our oil and gas and oil reserves and all that. But you are still, people say, why is Bayelsa still an oil and gas state? I mean, there are other aspects of Bayelsa that have been untapped. If you look at Peremimbri, that's a rice and agricultural, yes. And there's so many areas in Bayelsa that are yet to be tapped. Why is Bayelsa still, a monolithic economy?
Yeah, it is not solely true that Bayelsa State is still a monolithic economy. The reason being that for us to have a viral economy, a viral society, there are fundamentals that must be put in place. And so when Doedri, talking about the prosperity government of Doedri, when he came, he said he's going to concentrate first on some critical areas, thematic areas. Number one, security. And we are saying, the world is saying that we have got it right in security and there's need to sustain it and even improve upon it. Every business person, every investor wants to see a safe environment to invest before they plow their monies. So we've got that right. The second thing is power generation. And it's very important. You cannot just have security and you think business will thrive. And so the next thing is to ensure that we have power generation. We have told the people of this state and indeed the world and those who are wanting to invest in Bayelsa State, bearing in mind that a whole lot of international organizations and corporations and investors have signed MOUs with the Bayelsa State government, but they are all tied to certain clauses of power generation, security, infrastructure. We've got security right. We are going to get it right by the end of this year. And we are telling you that we're building uncommon infrastructure in Bayelsa State. The areas in Bayelsa State where people never thought they would see road, the cars are hitting there. The bridges are being built.
Like which area?
Of
Sangana?
Course.
You know what is happening in Sangana?
Let me just tell you. You can take a cab or even a motorcycle, we call it Nigerian parlance, or
Okada.
keke, and it just drives smoothly from Yenegua to Sagbama to Ikirimo unheard of. Now, this is a road that...
But this is, I mean, this was, it didn't start from the
No,
tenure of Doyediri.
it doesn't need to start. The thing is, government is a continuum. And remember, this is PDP government. Doyediri inherited this project from Senator Henry Siraka Dixon, who just left as a governor, now is Senator of Federal Republic. And then the road was taken to a reasonable extent. The governor came and said, look, no project under my watch should be left untouched. None will be abandoned. And so he decided to continue with every project on ground. That is good leadership. So that we'll have a focus on the vision.
But we understand there are more abandoned projects that are yet to be completed.
I'm here to tell you. That's why I'm here on this site with you.
Yes.
And so you cannot, he continued and built 24 new bridges hitting a Kremo. It's unheard of. These are things that the federal government over the years, right from the creation of Nigeria, has said, and consistently so, that the terrain of the Niger Delta is too difficult and they can't dare issues of development. But here in Bayelsa State, the Oyedire as a governor has decided to demystify the concept of difficult terrain to say we can do it. And so that is the aspect of Bayelsa State Western Senatorial District. So that is Bayelsa West Senatorial District. We now have Bayelsa Central, because we have 3 senatorial districts. That one takes from Yenegua to Angiama to Poroma. Remember, that is the headquarters of Southern Niger. And we keep saying, sometimes with tears in our eyes, Southern Niger is the largest and most populated local government in Nigeria. Yes, it's true. From National Population Commission, everybody assisted. And remember, we are not just the largest and most populated local government. We are also the most nationally endowed local government. They can imagine what that contributes to the national treasury and how far. This is a place that's been grossly abandoned. They've never seen a bicycle, not to talk about a car. Do you know what's happening today? Bridges after bridges after bridges. And again, it's a continuation of the good intention of Governor Henry Siraka Dixon, who is now a distinguished senator. And so we are continuing the road. See, in the next few months, that bridge, precisely about 6 months' time, the bridge will be done, and of course, people will be driving down to Oporoma. And remember, the road is also hitting Otuan, because that has been taken already, and taking it to Agobri down to the Atlantic. Now, come to the other side, where I come from, the Bayelsa East Senatorial District, where that is President Goodluck Jonathan's area. And I tell you, Governor Henry Siraka Dixon, now a senator, he again started the road to Nembe. The Nembe people never saw a car before in their life. Quite embarrassing for a place so rich in culture and natural resources. And when he took the road there, and Doyediri came to contest for governor, and the people told him, let us have an understanding. He told them, I know what he wants. And they agreed in unison.
If all that you're saying, in fact, Bayelsa should be a small London by now. But I mean, you still hear people talk about, governance, poor governance, corruption, permeating, sectors like the health, education, and infrastructure. Now you talk about the slogan of government: prosperity assured.
Yeah, assured prosperity.
Assured prosperity. How are the people, encapsulated in this assured prosperity? Because if you look at, what benefits the people? Again, you say this is a people-driven government. What are the things, how is it visible in the lives of the Bayelsans?
Yeah, and that's why we're rolling out things that this government is doing. Like, I wanted to mention about the brass roads. And nobody in this world would have believed that in our generation, because if you bring my forefathers and they realize that the road is hitting brass, they will be shocked. But that's what we're doing. And so you see the swamp boogies working night and day, the dredgers working night and day. These swamp boogies are tearing over the swamps to ensure that we get a road. And we're building the roads on the sea. These are possible things that we're doing. They are visible things. We're not talking about intangible things. Now, when you talk about how our Bayelsans saying it, there are fundamentals about good governance, which is what we are discussing here today. Is Doyediri running a transparent government? Yes. Is it showing, predictability that somebody who wants to do investment or do any business can predict what this government does? Yes. Is there fiscal discipline? Yes. Is there inclusivity? Of course, this governor does not make any decision without consulting the people. Is there collaboration of necessity amongst critical stakeholders in the enterprise come by yesterday, whether the legislator, the House of Assembly, traditional rulers, women leaders, youths, women groups, etc. It's all about a collection of all of us doing things. So when you talk about how are we taking, if you look at health, the uptake or the health profiling of the state has got to an unimaginable dimension, because what we used to have before now. Used to have, primary health centers here and there. The governor came and said, that's beautiful, but we have to strengthen them. So we have been able to build capacity in our health service providers. That's number one. Number two, we are building new health facilities in the state, and very importantly, building referral centers. These are advanced medical outlets where services are delivered at an advanced stages, where advanced complex surgical procedures could be done. We've been able to do that, different local government areas. The intention is to ensure
But it will appear that governments at that state level now concentrate on very high complex medical structures and facilities. Now the people you are talking about, the people for whom this prosperity assured are meant for, don't even have the resources to access the kind of high-class medics that you're talking about. We're looking at primary healthcare development, primary healthcare centers. How are accessible, out of pocket, expenses at the hospitals? And, how, have you been able to address these needs of Bayelsans? We're talking about access to education, tuition and all that. How has this Governor Diri's government made this seamless and easy for the people of Bayelsa?
You just can't ask any question better than this. I think this is the best question you're asking, because you're just asking me to unveil more. You see, we have what we call the Bayelsa State Health Insurance Scheme. It's the best in the country. Also, you can fast check it from the minister. I'm coming from
I was one of those who covered the inauguration
of that
Bayelsa State.
Now,
yes.
former
during the time of
Harry Siraka Dixon.
Yes. No. It wasn't Siraka Dixon. It was Tebepa was the Tebepa.
Then under Goodluck Jonathan.
Yes, under Goodluck.
Now, what I'm telling you is this: Doidiri inherited what we call the Bayelsa State Health Insurance Scheme, which was meant for civil servants in the state. And Doidiri came and said, yeah, this is a fantastic idea. We are going to improve on it. How have we been able to improve on it? We have expanded the coverage area of this scheme for not just civil servants. Every person that lives in Bayelsa State, whether you're a Bayelsan or you're someone coming to do business in Bayelsa State, all you need to do, get registered. And the service providers are littered all over the state. And government has never failed one day to provide all that is needed for them to provide medicine equipment, for testing, management and evaluation, etc. What we've been able to do is to ensure that every family, every household in Bayelsa State is having healthcare at almost a zero cost, because we will pay just a token of what you make, either as a salary earner or as a private person. So it's when we talk about we're strengthening the health service delivery in the state, it's not like we're making it unaffordable for the people. No, we are already strengthening the services provided, and then we've gone further to say there are some complex matters that could be much more difficult than these ones that are, dispensed at these areas. Therefore, let us create referral centers. That's when you talk about tertiary, facilities. It is still part of what the Bayelsa people benefit as a comprehensive arrangement of the Bayelsa State Health Insurance Scheme. It's fantastic.
Do Bayelsa elites today now, seek medical care at the tertiary hospital, or do you still have to fly people like your governor abroad? And you yourself, do you still go abroad for medical care?
Let me tell you for free that a few days ago, and indeed Bayelsa State has been in a jamboree mode, because having done 5 years in government, there has been a flurry of celebrations of commissioning and inauguration of new projects here and there. And one of the ones we just made, hemodialysis. So, it's a serious matter that's affecting most folks in this country. And people used to travel to Lagos and maybe Port Harcourt, come to Abuja. Now you do all of that in Bayelsa State. And note, it is not what you're going to sell a land to do it. It's part of what is captured under the Bayelsa State Health Insurance Scheme. So if you're a Bayelsa and you want to go to Dubai, you want to go to London, like most senior Nigerian citizens will want to do, look, we're discouraging all of that, because in Bayelsa State, we have capacity. We demonstrated again and again. And the Minister of Health was there. They also everything said, this is what this country needs, and Bayelsa State is on track. And remember, the Federal Minister of Health also said, not long ago, and if you look at the reportage, they said Bayelsa State Health Insurance Scheme is about the best in the country. So why wouldn't we beat our chests to say that's one of our strengths?
We'll take a short break. When we come back, I'll read out a quotation from a non-governmental organization about Bayelsa State and see how you respond to that. You're watching Late Edition. Please don't go away. We'll be right back. right, thank you. Welcome back. You're watching Lead Edition, and today we're focusing on leadership in Bayelsa State, of course, the state that is known as the glory of all lands. And I have with me High Chief Abednego Don Everida. Don, just listen to this. Bayelsa State, okay, I don't want to mention the name. The non-governmental organization ranks Bayelsa State as one of the most corrupt states, with low level of accountability and transparency deficit in Nigeria. Bayelsa also ranks second among the 36 states in terms of multi-dimensional poverty.
I would start to wonder whether that is coming from any human environment. Thank God you didn't mention the name. But I tell you for free that why is the government of the Oediri, and indeed Bayelsa State government, thriving in the midst of the supposed statement from your friend there? Look, I did say that when you talk about the fundamentals of good governance, you see them in Bayelsa State. Is there transparency? Yes. Are contractors being owed in Bayelsa State? Not at all. Projects are commissioned, projects are initiated, and contract values made public, and the percentage that is paid is made known. Timelines are set for projects. And you know what? A government that does not take kickbacks from contractors, isn't that transparency? That is transparency. And let me tell you, a government that has shown real frugality will place the resources of the state to tackle our critical needs as a people. So when we are talking about education, we are looking at areas of critical need and we tackle them. If we look at healthcare service deliveries, Bayelsa State is top-notch. So when you talk about corruption how? This government makes every kobo and penny that comes to the state open. We run transparency briefing every month. So the Bayelsa people and the world understand the amount of money that comes to the state. And note, very important, every project that is done in Bayelsa State is a product of the people's decision. That is why we talk about inclusivity, which is a strong tenet of good governance. So, dear listeners, just ignore it. But of course, sometimes people make publications to whet the political interests of their paymasters. That must be one of it. Certainly, it's not a reflection of what Bayelsa State is.
Okay, because we're still talking about now, how resources are expended in Bayelsa. Because Bayelsa ought to have, gone far in terms of infrastructural development and all that. And just my colleague just came back and said, look, Bayelsa, Yanegua is still in darkness. One of my colleagues, Yanegua is still in darkness.
And I know that Nigeria is also in darkness, but that is not an excuse.
Nothing much has changed. So you talk about transparency in terms of use of the resources. How much was, the budget, Bayelsa's budget, and what, how do you account for transparency and judicious use of it? Because we hear that even the monthly transparency and accountability briefings, which had been regular, had stopped. I don't know.
Oh, come on. You do have, the Nigeria Television Authority has a fantastic outlet there in Bayelsa State.
But that you have ignored.
I'm coming.
That you have neglected.
You have just said here that it is called Nigeria Television Authority, meaning it's an agency of the federal government.
But
I will provide secrets for the yes we are doing. Are we giving them the space to operate unfetteredly? Yes, we are doing. Have they requested for assistance? I would have said no. No, we've never done that.
We are not having a conversation about NTA.
However, very important. I'm telling you for free that everything that is done under the watch of the prosperity government of the Oediri is about collaboration of necessity. It's about inclusivity. It's about, people coming together to decide what their future is. Every penny, like we always say, Bayelsans are not naive about what their government is doing, and they are not ignorant in any way. Even the farmers in Bayelsa State will tell you, next year, this is the project that the Oediri will do in our village. Next year, the Oediri is going to build that school. And they are saying so because promises were made a few years back, and all of them were kept. The thing is, even in the midst of difficult economic challenges in the country, the governor has maintained consistency in his engagement with the people. And that's why when you hear that, even the transparency briefing has stopped, it's shameful that sometimes people say things like that. And when the media hears and they fail to make updates for them to confirm. And for example...
How often do you hold it?
Every month. As soon as we have our allocation, we tell the world, this is what has come. These are the expenditures that we're going to make. This is what is left over for fresh deals and fresh contracts. And these are the jobs that will be issued. This is the leftover. This is what will be used in the payment of pension and gratuities and arrears and promotion of civil servants, etc. Look, let me tell you, this government has demonstrated real readiness and strategic thinking in ensuring that they provide services for our people. If you ask the civil servants in Bayelsa State, they will tell you it is now they feel that they are actually civil servants. How? Because everything about them, from providing the requisite stuff, equipment they need to work is there, the environment is there. Remember, just a few days ago, we just inaugurated the building of a 9-story state secretariat. And I can tell you that every civil servant is saying, Bayelsa State under the Idiri is a different thing. It's like dream realized, the dream of our founding fathers, where our people said someday we're going to have skyscrapers that will enable our people to see this. Someday we're going to have lights that is going to last for generations, just like Chief Melfordokilo, the then governor of River State, did. That's what the Idiri want to do. And so, as a civil servant in Bayelsa State, you're paid look, the Bayelsa civil servant is one of the most respected civil servant because the reward system in Bayelsa is first amongst equal because they are paid better, number one.
How much are they paid?
No, when I say better, you know the benchmark the federal government has brought. We are paying more than the benchmark.
Yes, well, how much are you paying? I don't know.
We are paying over 80,000 naira for civil servant. That's fantastic. Isn't that fantastic? Yeah, and you know it. This is a federal department, and you know what I'm saying. Now, we are saying that beside payment of salaries, when you do your 30 or 35 years in the Bayelsa civil service and you disengage, you don't need to know Madam Claire for you to be paid your pension, arrears, gratuity, etc. No, you sit at the comfort of your home and you get a lot that your money has been paid. Because every month, the governor provide XYZ amount of money for that. And remember, not just that, senior citizens, their health, provision is perfect because I told you, we have a comprehensive, expanded Bayelsa State health insurance scheme that takes care of all persons. The concept of leadership under the radar is no one should be left behind. And it's working for us sectorally.
Okay, I it's very interesting. And Don, I know you can go on and on and on and on. But let us look at the creation of the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy.
Blue economy.
And you know Bayelsa sits on the blue economy. How has the government of the Idiri tapped into this? Resources from the Atlantic, which is just behind your door.
Still, we give kudos to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for, establishing a ministry for blue economy. And I can also tell us for free that Bayelsa State is the first state to key into that by creating a ministry of blue economy. And it's also true that a few months ago, the state and indeed the world, the nation and the world primated on Bayelsa State to discuss about the prospects of a blue economy, where we created a master plan on how to go about it. Our intention is to ensure that we create the wealth that our people have been dreaming about from the Atlantic. Like you did say a moment ago, that this is our monolithic, economy. We are trying to delve into diversifying the economy. And I tell you, Bayelsa State is sitting on top gold.
So what is the framework now?
That's what I'm saying. Yes. See, a framework is into what we'll stay here and talk about. But what I'm saying is we've been able, and not just Bayelsa, the world went to Bayelsa State. Even the Minister of the Economy, everybody, international organizations, everybody went there. And what they came out with fantastic. And Bayelsa is working on it. I can tell you for free, in a few months' time, what will be done in Bayelsa will be so revealing and people will be shocked because everyone, critical stakeholders are working towards that. And we're going to realize, remember, it's a fresh thing. What we need now, ideas. What we need, the political will and the driving system.
Don, what is it that the Bayelsan should expect with regards to, this creation of a marine and blue economy? I mean, Bayelsa State is 90% water. 90% water. So the people want to know, at least let it be relatable. Let your plans be relatable to the people that you're...
Yeah, I said a moment ago that we took a road to Ikeremo, and that road is now, the second phase of the road is going to Agay. Agay is a place that we are located for a seaport. And that job has already
By the way, how long is it now from Yanagua to Agay?
Oh, Agay is down the Atlantic.
It's down the Atlantic. By boat?
No, it's by boat because the first thing, see, these are the things. There is a strong hunger for development in Bayelsa State. And so if you look at just one sector and say, what have you been able to do this? The intention of the government is to ensure that no sector is left untouched. But then, areas of critical needs, like creating a road to Agay. Look, we can't have a seaport, which is part of what we need for this blue economy. But we must have the critical infrastructure on ground. And that's why after taking the road to Ikremo, the second phase of the road, which has been inaugurated, which is to be inaugurated a moment from now, because all the arrangements have been made, the companies have come, the agreements have been done. Their road is going to Agay. And you know what it takes? When the road gets there, when it gets there, and we'll have a seaport, the wealth of the river can't be taken from the air. It has to be connected from the road. And so we continue to build capacity, continue to build roads. That is why building critical infrastructure is key, is fundamental. It's not just about the Agay side. We're also talking about Brass, because I told you, we have been able to do 21 kilometers down into the Atlantic, going towards Brass. It's fantastic. We got to a point where the governor just addressed leaders of thought in the state that, look, the first phase of the job, I did say 21 kilometers. It might look easy for somebody who is in Abuja or from this part of Nigeria to say, what is 21 kilometers of road? Look, 21 kilometers of road in Bayelsa State, especially on the Atlantic, is like building 5,000 kilometers of road in this part of the world.
The awareness of the difficulty of the terrain in Bayelsa is obvious.
So
people know that if you're constructing a road with millions of dollars in Abuja, of course, it will triple that in Bayelsa. But let's quickly, because the time is fast, running out on us. Let's quickly look at Sangana community. Recently, the leadership of that community came out publicly to cry out to both the state government and the federal government. That community is almost being overrun by the Atlantic. Is Governor Duyedere aware of the plight of people in that community?
Well, environmental challenges like sea encroachment shouldn't solely be the responsibility of state government. Most of these projects are big ticket projects
That's why I said, is he aware?
Yeah, no, why not? When you say is he aware, this governor is connected to the people of the state. There is no story you hear about Bayelsa State that the governor does not hear first, because the assembly members in those areas, local government chairman, the leaders of thought in that area, every time, day after day, season after season, the whole meetings with the governor. The governor gets first-hand briefing from those people. And I can tell you that our concerns are as much as those of every other place. It's not just Sangana. If you come to River State, there are places of say encroachment. If you go to Akwa Ibom, if you go to Delta State, if you go to Bayelsa State, the thing is, the federal government at all times must go into partnership, into collaboration, or with these state governments that are having these challenges. And that is why, for us as a state, we feel comfortable with the pattern of leadership Duyedere is giving, because he has a good relationship with Mr. President. And anytime we have challenges that are out of our reach, in some way, he goes to Mr. President and they discuss, and these arrangements are being perfected to a large extent. So we can tell the Sangana people, even from a distance here I am, that the governor is very much aware. He's standing with them. He's working with the Minister of Environment, Federal Minister of Environment, and of course the agencies of government are all working with state government.
Are there immediate, efforts to mediate, at least for the shorter period? Because they raised the alarm that if nothing is done, to embark the raging Atlantic, the whole of that community.
If a few years ago, our brother, the common sense senator, cried every day on the floor of the National Assembly that his own town, Sangana, is being washed away by the sea, and nobody listened to him. Nigerian leaders in the National Assembly refused to look the other way. But we understand, as a JOS, that matters of ecological challenges in this country are most times taken care of, especially when it's not from the Niger Delta axis. It's shameful. It's very embarrassing. Notwithstanding, the state government has been able to liaise with the Niger Delta. And let me say this very important. The state government has been able to liaise with the Niger Delta Development Commission, and they are working hand in gloves to ensure that most of the challenges, including that of Sangana, is given a facelift. But most importantly, Nigeria as a government and as a people, as a federation, must understand the wealth of this state, of this country, comes mostly from that axis. Why are we neglected? But the good thing is, in this era of Duyedere, we're saying everything about militancy and agitation must be tackled with intelligence and intellectual reasoning. And that is why there is peace in the land. But the federal government must do something about it.
Okay, let's look at, anytime I watch a documentary on Bayelsa State, especially when, reference is made to Oloibiri.
Yeah.
Nigeria's first oil was discovered in Oloibiri in 1950. So the picture we still see is an old picture of Olibri. Is it high time that we saw something different, from Oloibiri, so that we replace that old oil rig that
We have tried as much as possible as a government and as a people. Remember I said Bayelsa State is the homeland of the Jaws. It's the Jerusalem of all the Jaws. But it's shameful to say that in Bayelsa State, they cannot see a kilometer of federal road in Bayelsa State. It's shameful. Is it good to say it on national television? For the world to hear, but this is NTA, this is the voice of the nation. That in Bayelsa State, there isn't a kilometer of federal road. No, it's shameful. Now, when we talk about Oloibiri, where Abuja started, where Lagos started, where everything this country started, Oloibiri, where oil was first struck in commercial quantity. Incidentally, that's my place. Incidentally, I bleed as you're saying that. But it's good you're saying it. So if Nigeria Television Authority can say it, then, who is there in this country that shouldn't say it and listen? But it's beyond the rhetorics. Let's stop saying it. Let's start doing things. Not long ago, they talked about a national museum that will be established there. From the day it was said to today, story after story after story. But we are seeing projects that were mentioned, even mildly, with less attention in this country, and they've been taken to the peak. So this neglects and abandonment of our people. It has become, a normal thing in this country. But we must stop it. But we must also give kudos to what the governor is doing. The people are not happy. Ordinarily, these agitations will continue. But the governor keeps telling them, don't worry, the little they are giving us, let us use to create a platform of hope. So we're living on hope. But the gross abandonment, no. Like I just said, there isn't a kilometer of road, a federal road in Bayelsa State. Who will believe it?
Well, I really want to ask if the state government, because again you talk about the flaring of gas,
yes.
You talk about the encroachment. These are all environmental issues, and the world is trying to transit into a greener economy and all that. And I'm just wondering, is there a space for Bayelsa to transit into a greener economy, or are you contented with your oil and gas that you generate?
It's just like Nigeria, and indeed Africa, the African Union just talked about artificial intelligence. And they're trying to set up a 9-man committee to work on, the framework on artificial intelligence. And the first thing that came to my mind as a security specialist, I said, there are issues within the Sahel that the African Union needs to tackle. And but then that shouldn't vitiate the fact that it's important for us to also flow along the other rims of the world. Now, when you talk about, green economy, look, the first thing that Bayelsa and so on is road. The first thing we need is light. The next thing that we need is housing for our people. We need capacity amongst our youths, our children, our women. We want to see that our children can compete with the folks across nations in this country and the world, educationally. We want to build capacity in them. Now, we want to see that Bayelsans are safe and better. Now, these, I see a flurry of things and needs that our people need to achieve. Now, when you bring the other one, let us not overshoot. What's important, those are things that the federal government has to create necessary or requisite platforms for states to key in. Bayelsa State will be very willing to key in. Most of these things, states cannot just start to say they want to do it. The government, federal government must show leadership. And for us as a state that is very willing and development oriented, we are only saying, is there an opening anywhere? Just like the power sector, where it was removed from the exclusive list, and Bayelsa State government has had to key in, I was saying, by the end of this year, we're going to have uninterrupted power supply.
I like that. Will that be the governor's legacy or signature project? Because he said, look, this is not going to be one of those white elephant projects. And indeed, I'm sure the Bayelsans will want to hold the governor accountable. So will this be, one of those legacy projects?
Of course, Dawidi as a governor will be leaving the seat of power as a man that will be an icon for all time. It won't just be within the political circles of our state. And of course, look at it. A few months back, there was an Olympic, and the only medal that was won by Nigeria was won by a Bayelsan lady, Goro Dudu. And you know what? Our young folks in the secondary school, they've been doing the trailblazing thing all across the globe, winning laurels for this country. What am I saying? Sports for our youths is the best. But we do not have the requisite facility to do it. What are the governor been able to do? A few weeks back, the world, from FIFA to the Minister of Sports, all critical stakeholders in this country, converged in Bayelsa State to inaugurate a 25,000 capacity modern Olympic stadium. Look, and you know what? The Korean company that is saddled with the contract job said it openly. They have been giving 30% mobilization, and 5 days after, the governor had an executive council meeting and came out, spoke, say another 20% has been approved. And the company immediately issued a statement saying, yes, but Mr. Governor, come to site and see what is there. Look, before I came here to Abuja, a few days ago, I was there, and what I saw came to my mind that yes. So when we're talking about legacy projects.
We didn't say it, but you saw it. But let's quickly, just one more question, one more double barrel question, and I'm going to ask, apart from the federal allocation, of course, which we all know it's not enough, how does the state government, or where does the state government get the kind of funding it requires to execute all that you have said? And again, I'd like to find out from you what Governor, the Diri's administration think about the ongoing debate on tax reform.
Yeah, let me take it from the tax reform. Our senators and members of the National Assembly in strong unison about that position. We are in strong support. We continue to tell Mr. President this is the right policy. This is the best thing because it's going to favor our people. And it's not just because members of the National Assembly are saying it. We had our own town hall meetings as stakeholders in Bayelsa State, community after community in all local governments. And we told our representative at National Assembly, go and stand with it. And that is what the governor believes, and that's what Bayelsa is standing for. Tax reform, fantastic. It's to the best interest of our state.
I'd like to thank you very much for coming to share Bayelsa's experience under Governor Diri in the past 5 years or so with us on Data Edition. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
As we conclude today's discussion, it's clear that the journey towards a stronger, more inclusive future for the state hinges on the ability of its leadership to adapt to the evolving needs of its people. We'd like to thank, of course, our guest, High Chief Evarada Abednego Dunn, Technical Advisor on Communication and Strategy to the Governor of Bayelsa State, for sharing valuable insights with us today. And we look forward to seeing how the state will continue to shape its future with a leadership model that truly serves its people. Again, I'm Claire Adelabu Abdurrasaq. From me and the rest of the team, bye-bye.